But we were also exposed to college campuses very early. My dad was very insistent upon going touring different college campuses, even when we were like 14, 13, like not in a space to be really like seriously thinking about like where I'm going to go to college. But even locally, like we go tour Cal Poly Pomona, or, if we're driving up to, Northern California, we'd stop slow and stuff like that. Stanford, as soon as I did start to think about like, okay, what schools am I considering applying for? We were very heavy on going to tour them.
Over 50% of Black Americans are unmarried, and only 2% of Black families in America have a net worth over $1 million.
We are on our journey to not only join that 2%, but grow that 2%.
Facts. I'm Devon Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game, with my beautiful co-host.
I'm Sinclair, aka the Health Nerd. You can go to our website at them4show.com, our Instagram at them4show, and our YouTube channel at Melanated Married Millionaires in the Making.
And welcome to the M4 Show. You're staring at me like you're judging me, Sinclair. What's going on?
Watching you in your zone.
My meditative zone.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back, beautiful people, to the M4 Show, Melanated Married Millionaires in the Making. I'm your host, Devon Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game. And of course, I have with me my smiling, my beautiful, my radiant, soon-to-be homeowner queen herself. Please introduce yourself.
First of all, we're already homeowners.
That's true.
Second of all, hello, everybody. My name is Sinclair, aka the Health Nerd. And this is going to be one of our properties in our portfolio. We're looking to get the next one in the portfolio. But yeah, I like house hunting. It's fun. We were talking about earlier, my mom loves house hunting and has always loved house hunting and loves interior designing. So we used to go to model homes for fun. It's just something. So it's like, it's nostalgic for me to like go house hunting. And when we're actually like, oh, this can actually be ours. Like, oh, this is actually one we could put an offer on and live in. So I like the experience, but it is tiring.
It's tiring. I don't know. Is it the emotions?
I feel like it's emotional because, it's not aside from getting in and out of the car and walking around, like it's not that much physical work. I feel it's the emotional, like literally every room you're in, you have to imagine what it would be like to live there. Like imagine furniture there. Like I feel like that's just a lot of brain power to be using on 6 different properties.
Yeah. And I think that's a testament to how much we're not using our imagination every day. Like the fact that it's so tiring to go into open house and use your imagination for 3 hours, like it's a muscle.
Right.
So maybe we need to practice using our imagination more often and not looking at a computer screen. Keep watching this podcast, but not watching YouTube, right? Because you're not necessarily imagining anything. You're just seeing. You're not using the full scope of your brain.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. But what I want to talk about today, Sinclair, is again this topic that came up from our listeners, and we appreciate the topics that come in.
Yes.
If y'all have a topic that you want to see, you can DM us at the M4 Show on Instagram. You can go to our website, them4show.com, submit your topics as well. But the topic is raising married melanated millionaires, even though you have been the best role model. And this is specifically coming from a single mother that has some adult kids, some almost adult kids. So yeah, I really just wanted to have an open conversation, Sinclair. If you can give maybe like 2 things, I can give like 2 things on what you feel like your parents did right that puts you in the position now to be a melanated married millionaire in the making, and then eventually, of course, crossing that millionaire threshold. Anything coming to mind for you?
I think something that both of my parents did is elevate above the experience they both, received in their childhoods. Yeah. I think they both took that very seriously. My mom came from the Bay Area, Northern California. My dad's from Tampa, Florida. So me being from Southern California, that's where I was born, but they're both outside of where they grew up. And so I feel like they wanted to, be in an area where they could kind of just really recreate the environment that they wanted to for their family. Yeah, they both had whatever, type of experiences, childhood traumas, all that not fun stuff,
Right.
that folks go through. So the fact that they very much, I think, cultivated an environment that was, ideal for raising a family. Like me and my brother had fantastic childhoods,
Mm.
right? Everybody's got their different things that they can point out that they would improve, but
Right.
like I have to give it to my parents. Like they did their thing when it comes
Right.
to
Y'all did
parenting.
that.
Yeah, when it comes to parenting and really creating an environment that is good for raising a family, like they really did that. We were born into a house that they owned,
Mm.
right? Yeah, my parents are still together, right? Blessed to be able to
Oh, how many
see that
years?
relationship. They were married in 92.
So 31 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on.
So, I think 92. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 92.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it was just they very much were intentional about, where they wanted to be, owning their home, creating like they had me. I believe my mom had me when she was 30. I
Mm.
think when she was 30. So, a little bit, I mean, later is all relative, but later than some folks, earlier than other folks,
Yeah.
right? But I think again, they were intentional about like, let's create the environment so that when we're ready to have kids, when we have them, like they can grow up in a nice, stable household.
Mm.
And I think that worked out, right? Like again, me and my brother, like we had great childhoods. We followed the path, right? The traditional path,
Go to
get good, right? Get
college,
good grades, go to college, get a good job.
and then now you're kind of off
A
that
little
path.
bit, I kind of veered off of that a little bit, but that's because I'm now trying to do the same thing,
Mm.
right? It's like that's the trajectory now set is like, okay, a stable household is a given
Mhm.
because that's what I had. So
Mhm.
now what's the next level? I feel like, and it's like ownership is like big
Mm.
thing that we're like, an ownership of like time, ownership of property, ownership
Yeah.
of of what you do with your
Passive
life, passive
income.
income. Like I
Mm.
feel like that's the next level we're trying to take it to. And yeah, the path I was on wasn't really going to get me there. So
Mm.
yeah, I think that's something I'm taking like to heart is like, how can I do the same thing and elevate, right? The experience I had was fantastic. And if my kids had the same thing, I would be perfectly happy.
Yeah.
But I almost feel a level of responsibility to do the same thing my parents did, which is, okay, how can we take this to the next level?
Yeah, and I like that start of not necessarily, oh, my kids aren't in a millionaire position right now. It's a matter of, did you do better or did you improve upon the last generation?
Right.
Right. And to the listener who brought in that question, we have no idea what kind of childhood you grew up with,
Right.
right? Possibly you grew up in a single family household. Probably, possibly you grew up in a impoverished environment, and now you have a stable home for your kids, right? Maybe it's not a two-parent household. Maybe it's not the ideal situation like the Cosby Show of love, but they're still able to have a better environment than you had. So still pat yourself on the back and
Right.
congratulate yourself on that.
And
But
even in
yeah,
like, if not in those traditional ways, like there are ways, there has to be ways that you have improved upon, what you grew up in. So
yeah,
really just think about like, even if it's like, okay, no, that didn't check those two boxes, right? Think about other things, right? Whether it's the way you love your kids, you treat your kids, right? Definitely find those things that that you've
right.
improved upon.
Right. And ooh, where was I going, Sinclair?
I'm
You over
sorry, I
here double
interrupted
dutching
you.
into my. I was in the double dutch, and you just came in. But I think where I was going was,
You said you liked
gosh dang it, it's gonna come back to me. It's gonna come back to me.
you liked
But
that improving upon the previous generation.
improving upon the previous generation. Keep talking to me. Uh
Yeah,
huh.
that's what you were saying.
Uh huh. What else was I saying? You got
That's
nothing.
yep, nope.
All right. Well, I'll go a different direction. I'll give my example then. I was going to go a different way, but I think something that helped me become the melanated married millionaire in the making that I am is the fact that my dad and parents at an early age had me making money,
Mm.
right? And I think as a kid, obviously, I didn't like that. I was like,
Mhm.
"Just let me hold 20, dad. What's up?
Let me hold
Let
20.
me hold a 20. Let me hold a 5. I wanna go to the movies. I wanna get some clothes." But I think my parents made sure that I had the necessities, right?
Mhm.
Had the roof over my head, had the food in my stomach, had my school uniforms that I needed. But if I wanted some forces, I need to buy myself some forces,
Mhm.
right? If I wanted to go to the movie theater, I need to buy my own ticket. And that forced me to figure out, okay, how can I make money on my own? Unfortunately, it wasn't always the best ways of making money, right? But it did give me that mindset of an entrepreneur, that mindset of managing my money, that mindset of I can get money if I need money for things.
Yeah.
And I think you brought up a great point the other day when we were just looking at both of my parents and how they move
Hmm.
within money. That I have kind of pieces of both, the mom that raised me and my dad on how to generate money, how to save money, how to be, a little bit frugal at times,
Hmm.
but then how to splurge at times as well. So I would say a gift that you can give your child or your children is giving them that ability to hustle
Hmm.
and pathways of making their own money. This
Yes.
is a lemonade stand. This is creating art and selling it to families. This is, doing, there's tons of ways to make legitimate money out there. So help them in crafting that gift.
Yeah. I think that's going to be really good, and plant the seed,
Hmm.
like you said. Um, and so, what do you think? What do we need to do to make sure that they're doing it in positive ways? Like, what could have been done differently for you?
So I think what wasn't done is giving me the examples, not and like basically like brainstorming, right? Having
Mm,
that parental think tank and
mhm,
being like, all right, if you want $100 every single month to be able to go to the movies whenever you want, Devon, let's sit down and let's come up with a strategy. All right, well, I want to do this. That's illegal, Devon. Don't do that. Right? Okay, I'm thinking about, selling candies and sodas. Okay, let's explore that a little bit more.
mhm.
Or I'm looking at, doing Pokemon card sales and trades. Okay, let's explore that. I'm looking at doing washing people's bikes and razors or something in the neighborhood. Like actually sitting down at the table and coming up with a business plan and a business strategy. That way, for sure what they're doing to get money.
Right.
Because I would just show up with money.
Right. No questions.
No questions were being asked. There was a time I remember in middle school where I literally stopped at the grocery store and I bought things to make Alfredo,
Mm,
shrimp Alfredo.
mm.
Right? I thought I was balling. Right, so I was get in the jar, queen.
I figured.
It was in the
I
jar.
figured.
That's a whole nother story, y'all. I made jar Alfredo for this woman, and she did not finish it. And this was after college. Or was it during college? I thought this was after college. It was
It
at your
might have been
parents'
after
house.
college. Yeah, it was after college.
Oh, it's a whole other
I
podcast
I
episode
have a thing against jarred
that
Alfredos.
that she does. Heavy. But long story short, I was in middle school. I bought groceries for shrimp Alfredo. I came home. I made dinner. Like I was feeling real adult, and no one asked a single question about where I got that money.
Mm,
Not a single question. I was going to the movies often. I was coming home with new clothes. No one asked a single question about the source of my income,
mm.
knowing that they weren't giving me
Right,
income,
right.
right? So I think sitting down and just having that strategy just gives you as a parent the confidence to know, okay, this is exactly how they're making money. This is how much they're going to make money. You can then help them make the signs, do the advertisement, and then they're also learning legitimate business along that way too.
Right. I
Hmm,
like that. I like that.
hmm.
And of course, with you being the business coach,
Oh
the
yeah.
dreamer, the visionary you are,
Listen,
I'm sure
listen,
they're gonna have so many options.
popping. Yeah, their business about to be popping. Listen, I'm talking about 5 figures a month.
I'm done.
I need my percentage, Kenji. Give me my 20%. All right, so that's two. Queen, do you have a second one from your childhood, from your experience? And the thing that I was gonna say came back
There
to
you go.
me,
There you go.
right? So what I was gonna say, you said a real good kind of story around environment,
Hmm.
and that your parents were very intentional about creating that environment. They owned the home that they were in. Were giving you that love. I know that your parents were giving you like lunches as you were
Oh
going into
yeah, the food,
school.
food. Period.
Yeah,
Right. That was just a thing.
yeah,
Lunches, dinners. Like I always had good food.
love that. And still to this
To this
day,
day,
they
had
still
po'
have good
boys last
food.
night.
Come on, they do it. But I would say, having that intentional environment around your kids is also a good way to create that. And I
Hmm.
think you were saying this when we were driving and just kind of like thinking about what we were talking about in this podcast. But maybe you're not showing the examples of love, but you have friends that are married
Right.
and they can be around aunties, uncles, grandparents, and just other people that are giving them examples of what love looks like, other people that can give them examples of what an entrepreneur looks
Hmm.
like, what a real estate investor looks like. It doesn't all have to come from you
Right.
as the parent, right? This is why they say it takes a village,
Village.
right? It takes a village to raise that child. So you want to make sure you're intentional about the village that you're building around them, including a podcast, right?
Mhm.
Not to, toot our own horn, but we're a family friendly podcast. We don't cuss on this podcast. We try to make sure our guests don't cuss on this podcast. We try to
Try.
make sure that everything that we talk about is very family friendly because that's on brand for us. So having them watch the podcast, listen to the podcast as they're driving with you, again, can help plant some of those seeds. So environment will be my number 3.
Well, this is awkward.
Environment was not going to be your number
I
3.
really
Stop.
it
Y'all hear
was
this?
because that's what I said earlier. What do you
Y'all hear this?
mean? You just told her what I said earlier.
Oh, word.
um, I mean, it kind of goes along with environment, but like exposure to like vacations.
Mm. What was the best vacation you took in your childhood?
Probably when we went to Maui.
Okay.
Yeah. That was we did a lot of like domestic trips where we would go to like, Vegas. We did a lot of Vegas trips for my dance dance career. But
Y'all know this one was famous in Riverside. We were just
I'm
at an
done.
open house.
I'm done.
And somebody was like, "Oh my gosh, is that Sinclair from Showstoppers?"
You're so dramatic. You're so dramatic. You're so
Can I have your
dramatic.
autograph? I was like, here we go again.
No, literally just ran into someone who I went to high school with. She didn't remember my name. I didn't remember hers either. But she
did say you're the
You-
dancer.
Yes, you were like, oh, you were in the hip hop team. Like that's how everybody knew me. Um, but yeah, I think the exposure, and I will just say exposure in general. So you said environment. I'll make it a little different. Exposure. Exposure to like seeing different parts of the country. Like I said, like we would every Thanksgiving we would go up to San Francisco to Nana's house, and be there for Thanksgiving. So I always looked forward to that. Like looked forward to the drive. I'm not gonna lie, I was always sleeping the drive, but look forward to
But
like
you look
waking
forward to
up.
the nap?
Yeah, literally, and just like being able to like, oh, I'm gonna go to sleep because we would always leave at night. So I'm like, I'm gonna just go to sleep and then wake up at Nana's house.
Magic.
Yeah.
Oh, to be a kid again.
Oh, amazing. But yeah, like exposure to different environments, exposure to, we would go to the Vegas a lot. We would go to Arizona. We went to the Grand Canyon. We went to Washington, D.C. We went to just a bunch of places around the country. And then, yeah, even Hawaii. That was like, I think the biggest vacation that we took when we were kids. And yeah, we just had a blast. I remember like the luau, going to the beach, the road to Hana. If anybody has been, the road to Hana. If anybody has been, the road to Hana. My dad did not properly warn us. If he ever watches this, it's him and my mom are going to be cracking up because this man took us on this long journey. It's a long drive. He did not warn us. You got a van
This is
full.
Maui?
I think so. A van full of people, and yeah, it was a nightmare. Honestly, it was a nightmare, and it was just funny because at the at the end we passed like some gift shop or something where there was like shirts that said "I survived the road to Hana," and we all wanted to stop and get one just because like we survived each other during this during this excursion. But yeah, we have a lot of stories like that. My dad trying to make us do stuff like in Washington D.C. when we walked to all of the monuments.
Oh, she looks hurt, huh? She
If
sounds hurt.
Washington D.C. in the summer,
It's
that
hot.
yeah, it's so hot.
Humid.
We were miserable. Okay, sorry, you taking me down the road.
Down the road of Hana.
But needless to say, we had a lot of fun on those vacations. And look at me now. I love to travel. Like it's one of my number one activities. Anytime we like get an infusion of money, I'm like,
where can we go?
Where are we going next?
Oh,
so so I feel like I obviously was exposed to travel from at a young age, again, even if it's just a road trip. Like, so it doesn't have to be, again, Hawaii. We never left the country. Like Hawaii was the furthest that we went. But now, right, we're going to Thailand, we're going to Italy, we're going to, so it's not
Africa,
right? Taking a road trip 2 hours away. is exposure to a different environment. So
Yeah.
even if within your own means, whatever that looks like, even if it's the next city away, like whatever that looks like for you, expose your kids, expose your families to different environments. It helps expand the imagination and knowing what is possible. Um, you've mentioned, I don't remember where it came from, but like your brain can literally only fathom what it has seen before.
Mhm.
And so, yes, we see a lot of things on social media, but it is a completely different experience to see something with your own eyes, to experience it with your own body and be there in person. So, yeah, give your kids those different, just those different experiences. Again, even if it's just if you live in LA, go to San Diego for the weekend. Like,
Yep.
you can just go to a different city, do a staycation in like an Airbnb, right? You can do hikes, you can do beach days, things that are free and fun. Yeah, I just, even just driving around, walking around, like it can be made into an adventure and a fun thing. It doesn't have to cost a bunch of money. You don't have to go across the country or across the world. Like just exposing them to a different environment, I think can
Hmm.
really broaden the mind.
I like that. I like how you connected them both, right? Exposure to different environments.
Yeah.
I see you. I see you. Show us a
Wiggity
podcast or
wiggity.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Minus the wiggity wiggity part. Um, another one that I'm thinking, I have two in my head. I don't know if we have time to get to both. We'll see. But one that's brewing in my head is the fact that my parents were very good at talking about money in the household, as
Mhm.
far as like knowing that there's a mortgage, right? I feel like
Mhm.
as a kid, I knew that there was a mortgage. I feel like I remember at one point how much the mortgage was. I remember, the utility cost, how much that was. My mom did a lot of couponing growing up. So like there would be times where we would have the newspapers out, we were cutting coupons in the morning, and then we would go to the grocery store. We would pick out all the things and then try to guess like, oh, how much is it going to be before the coupons, after the coupons. But that still gave me a sense of, one, you can save money through couponing, and then two, this is how much things cost in the grocery store. These are the things that we need in the house every
Mhm.
single week, every single month to survive. So I just gave me, I think, a sneak peek into adulthood, to where I felt like, and you said this to me a couple times, but I felt like when I went off to college, I was pretty prepared for
You're
adulthood.
very mature.
Like yeah, thank you, Queen. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little mature for my age. You feel me, y'all? But yeah, I was comfortable grocery shopping because I'd been grocery shopping so many times. I was comfortable cooking for myself because I'd cooked for myself growing up. I knew what toiletries I needed because again, I would go to the grocery store and get those things. So none of the adulting stuff. I think there's sometimes a buffer window from high school to college for a lot of folks. I feel like that buffer was just a little bit shorter for me because of the way that I grew up. So I know there's a lot of parents that don't talk about finances to their
Mhm.
kids.
We didn't really talk about it much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not
Okay.
that it wasn't like a taboo thing, like, "Oh, we don't talk about it." It didn't necessarily come up a lot unless it was like, "Oh, like, that's too expensive," or
Mm,
like, we just do things that are affordable, but it wasn't, I don't think, an active part of a lot of conversation.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've seen how my family talks. Like
Yeah.
it's a very open
There's
book.
nothing off
There's
limits.
nothing off limits, and I don't know how much of that was intentional. Parents, if y'all are listening,
Mm,
watching, let me know. I don't know how much of that was like intentional. Like we're gonna raise you to know about money, so you're gonna know how much our mortgage is. You're gonna come grocery shopping, or how much was just we're talking about stuff, and if you hear it, you hear it.
yeah,
Like we're not tripping. But I think that is something valuable within my childhood that I appreciate in hindsight.
yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
I thought of one more as it relates to exposure, not
Mhm.
only to vacations, of course, that's where I went. But we were also exposed to college campuses very early.
Mm,
My dad was very insistent upon like, going touring different college campuses even when we were like 14,
nice.
13, like not in a space to be really like seriously thinking about like where I'm going to go to college, but even locally, like we'd go tour Cal Poly Pomona, or, when if we're driving up to, Northern California, we'd stop at Slow and stuff like that. Stanford, like,
Mm,
as soon as I did start to think about like, okay, what schools am I considering applying for? We were very heavy on going to tour them.
nice.
And so I think that planted a seed of like, this is the expectation. This is where you go next. This is where
Mm,
you see yourself. And so I think that's again why it was such a natural next step. There was no plan B for me, or I think my brother. It was just we like you graduate and then you go to college. Like it was such a path that was just so obviously kind of paved for us because of our experiences and our exposures. So, not saying that that's what you need to do, but whatever you want that experience to be. Again, if it's, you know, if you're trying to create maybe future entrepreneurs, like what does that look like? Right? What does that look like? But exposing them at a young age to different possibilities so that they can start to think about where do I want it? Where do I see myself when I'm older? What do they resonate with? And even though it wasn't always like necessarily fun, I appreciate that in hindsight, like you said. And like I'm not a mother yet, but I know that there are going to be those things where it's like, I'm going to make you do this today because I know eventually you'll appreciate it. So, yeah, I wasn't necessarily excited to go tour Cal Poly Pomona, but I'm happy that we ended up doing it because, again, it helped me see that, like, okay, college is a path that I want to go to. And it didn't seem like a foreign thing. It was just like, oh, I've seen so many college campuses. I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable here. Right. And I think it also planted the seed of like, you get prepared ahead of time. And that is something, right? If you know me, I'm like the cautious, like I try to do I try to do things, you know, prepared ahead of time. When I was at Davis, like I went to the college fair freshman year. Nobody else, no other freshmen were at the college fair.
Wasn't even thinking about it.
But I'm like, you know, my dad was like, "Oh, you should go to the college fairs." I'm like, "You know what? You're right, Dad." And right, that prepared me. So December, before my before you know graduating in the June of the following year, I already had a job, and all my friends were kind of freaking out. Where am I going to work? Devon was freaking out where he's going to work. I had a job because I had gone to the career fair and landed a job because I was comfortable by the time I got to my 5th year because I had been going every single year.
I feel like it's also like your parents planted the seed in the habit that you do things before you're prepared to do them.
Before you're ready, yeah.
Right. So I think that's a huge thing. And we've continued that path like to this day of like doing things and exposing ourselves to the next level before we're actually ready for that next level. So it's interesting that you just kind of did that on autopilot.
Right.
Oh, there was something that I wanted to add to that. You were saying exposure to yeah, I feel like my parents did a good job at that as well because I was in Young Black Scholars as a student, which is a program in the 100 Black Men of Los Angeles. And as a part of that in high school, you go to Cal State LA every weekend. And you know, just like you, I was not looking forward to going to those sometimes because you have to wake up like 7 a.m. I used to go with my man Brandon Lynch, who it was cool because his mom had a Hummer, so it was real comfortable right in those seats. So I would take a good nap on the way to CSU Los Angeles, and then we would spend the whole day there. Sometimes we would get tours. There's guest speakers. We're doing like SAT prep and all of that, but that got me comfortable. Like you said. I also did a basketball camp at UC Santa Barbara overnight. I think it was like a 4-day basketball camp. Without your parents, you're in the dorms again, so it's like a little sneak peek into adulthood. To be honest with you, it was me and my knucklehead friend Nick, and we were playing like poker and blackjack and stuff for money. It was bad. We got caught. We had to do duck walks. My whole leg was sore. It was bad, but still a very just fun experience as a 13-year-old, 14-year-old being separated from your parents and just a whole week of playing basketball with your friends was good exposure.
Yeah.
So yeah, good job, parents. We see y'all.
Yes.
Y'all planted some seeds that we're continuing to water and eat the fruit from years later. So again, thank you for our audience member who submitted that question. I don't know if you want to be anonymous or not, so I'm not saying the name, but we appreciate you, and we definitely look forward to just more questions from the audience, right? Because we do this for y'all, right? We can get up here, we can talk about anything, right? It's fun stuff, but we do want to make sure that we are hitting topics that are meaningful and valuable to you and your family. So definitely make sure you put in the comments or DM us on Instagram at the M4 Show if you have any additional topics. So what I want to do, Queen, let me know if you're okay with this. I want to take a little break, right? Rest up a little bit, swig some water, and then when we get back, just talk about our open house journey, right? Just the home buying process that we're currently in, and then go ahead and wrap it up. Feeling good?
Yes.
Cool. All right. We'll take a quick commercial break. We will be right back, and we'll talk about our real estate journey. See you soon. Look, we're gonna get right back into the amazing podcast. But if you didn't know, in 2017, we created Black Wall Street, the board game, because we thought more families needed to know about the history of Tulsa Black Wall Street. More families needed to know about the legacy of Black excellence left behind of Tulsa Black Wall Street, that we can own a Madam C.J. Walker Beauty Salon. We can have a Booker T. Washington High School. We can have an Uncle Steve's Barbecue. We can have a Renaissance man like Simon Berry, who had his own taxi service and bus service that got bought out by the city of Tulsa. We have brilliance in our DNA. We wanted to make sure that your family can play a game that teaches them about this brilliance. So we have Black Wall Street, the board game, right here. We had the first edition available in 2017. That got sold out. We're on the second edition right now, or you can get the beautiful masterpiece version of the game as well. It's up to you. Head to playblackwallstreet.com and get yourself Black Wall Street, the board game, to empower you, your family, and generations to come. Playblackwallstreet.com. Let's get back to the episode. All right, let's get back into it. This is kind of like an Ask Sinclair segment, right? So Sinclair, for you, in our current house hunting journey, right? I know you did a little humble flex earlier, letting people know we've been around the block a few times, right? But in 2023 and in the economic environment that we're in, but also just our own personal situation that we're in, what has been the highlight of house hunting, and what has been the barrier, the detriment, the thing that really makes you when it comes to house hunting right now?
So I would say the exciting part about house hunting right now is that we are searching for the house that we are going to like bring our future family into. Like that's just really exciting. So I think it's another level of like, not only can we live here, but can our first child live here, right? Can we bring our child into this and get our second child live here, right? Can we actually raise a family here? That's exciting because like I literally am like thinking like when I'm looking at the living room, I'm like, oh, can I picture like first steps being taken here? Like I just have a different level of imagination when I'm doing this series of house hunting. So that's really exciting. And I think the barriers or the thing that is
So hold on, before you even get into the barriers.
yeah.
So when you're looking at these homes, right? Again, we saw 6 today, saw like 4 last week. Hopefully this will be the last weekend that we need to do house hunting. But what are some of the things that you're looking for that says to you, I can raise a family here? Right? What are those signs inside the house or in the local community that you're like, yep, I can see it.
Yeah. Space. I think just having a good amount of space. And like there's something about natural light that I really like, that light that brings, in a household, I feel like brings a nice energy. And like that really helps me like imagine, me be having a future there. So that's a small thing that I think just really changes how I see a place. Um but yeah, I think just like, does it have enough space, not only like living room, like, oh, can we play here? Can we build forts in this living room? Right. But but also like, is there enough bedrooms? Like we've been looking are really like our sweet spot is 3 bedrooms so that we can have our own bedroom. We can have a nursery and then like an office/guest bedroom as well, and just be able to grow into, having 2 nurseries if we needed, or a child's bedroom and a nursery, and still have enough space and not feel like, okay, we're outgrowing this house, which eventually is going to happen, but
yeah, we're definitely gonna outgrow it eventually because we want 5 of them things. But something that's has been an easy no for you is because we have a California king bed. So if the bedroom,
if it doesn't fit the bed, like I'm out. And he's like, oh, you can just get a smaller bed.
yeah, I was like, we
Devon,
can get
I'm
a
not.
smaller bed, we can get a queen, we can get a full. It's like, no,
I'm sorry, I'm just
No.
accustomed to a certain lifestyle at this point.
I
And
don't realize how much space is in this bed. She'll be like way over there. I'll be like, good night, Sinclair.
Here's the thing. So he's a cuddler. And so he's like, oh, he wants to be. I'm not when it comes to sleep.
Get off.
Right. I like
hot.
I like to cuddle in the morning. Like, oh, before you get up the bed, like have a little
I'm
like
up. I'm awake.
Right, yeah,
5:30, I'm out
he's
the
our
bed.
age.
She over here trying to cuddle. I'm gone.
But he also doesn't realize, one, he runs very hot at night, so I can't be anywhere near him without sweating. And then two, he's an active sleeper. So I don't know what type of dreams he be having,
I
but
be
down
dreaming.
to his hand,
I
like
be dreaming.
sometimes I'll hold his hand and he's like, and I'm just like, I can't even do that and like
Mhm.
be woken without being woken up. But anyways, I'm accustomed to the California clean king, and I don't want to downsize. So yeah, I'm looking at the bedroom. I literally have like measured our bed, and I mark it with my feet. If I feel like if it's a little tight in here,
Literally.
I will mark it with my feet. Like no, it
This
wouldn't
ain't
fit
it,
here.
Devon. It's not the one.
Next, and like literally one of the houses we looked at, I'm like, it was a really nice
Real
neighborhood,
nice.
but the bedrooms were all small. Like it wasn't one of those where, oh, this is obviously the master bedroom. It literally was like any of these could be the master bedroom because they're all small. And yeah, I'm like, one, feasibility. I know that I would plan to breastfeed my child. So the idea of, for the first year or however long that I'm doing that, needing to get up,
Mhm.
walk myself to the other bedroom every couple hours to feed the child, rather than just being able to wake up, roll over, have the crib right next to the bed. Like if it can't fit the crib and the California king bed,
It's
it's not happening.
mhm.
So things like that. I'm trying to be like very realistic about like what is our life going to look like in the next couple of years, and does this house fit that lifestyle? Um and yeah, having the separate rooms is also about like the fact that we do own our own business. A lot of the work we do, at least a lot of work that I do behind the scenes, is from home. So I do need to be able to have a workspace there. So again, that's where like that office comes into play. We've also talked about having like a separate, workspace, maybe a studio where we can record things, have it nice and sound insulated. If that's like
Oh
one of
yeah.
Devon's
Oh,
favorite
I'm looking forward to this.
things.
Jair knows I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
this. And I looked up tons of YouTube videos, gotten tons of quotes. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. So, like, whether that's that's another thing we've been looking at is okay, can the garage be converted, or is there room in the backyard to put a separate studio? So, yeah, those are all things that I'm thinking about. Backyard, right? Talking about entertaining. We
Mhm.
do like to entertain. And so the being able to have baby showers and birthday parties and just kickbacks where we're
Come
inviting
through.
Sunday dinner, like being able to have those things where we're bringing our friends and family together is also something that we've been looking at. So backyards, a decent backyard has been, a non-negotiable basically for us.
It's been a non-negotiable for me. She's been looking at some houses with a not big backyard. You'd be like,
A
Devon, let's
backyard,
do it. I'm like, no, it's not big
it
enough.
was
Oh, come
big
on, Devon.
enough, in my opinion.
But this last one that we just saw,
Oh yeah.
it's for sure big enough. So we're gonna pray on that. For me, something that I'm looking for when it comes to is this family oriented, right?
Mhm.
So space for sure. But I'm also looking at just like the neighborhood.
Mhm.
Right? Can the queen walk around in this neighborhood with this child, with our beautiful child, and be good, be
Mhm.
safe? I'm also looking at, and it's something that we both are very strategic about, is will this house be a good asset to pass down to our kids
Mhm.
in 20 years, in 30 years.
Mhm.
We looked at some homes that are real dope now, have a lot
Mhm.
of really good space now, but in 20 years might not be, any better or
Mhm.
a higher valuation than it is right now. Whereas other homes we've looked at that maybe even aren't even as nice technically right now in the immediate, but we know because of the location, 20 years from now, this is going to be a gem
Yeah.
to pass down. So I think that's something to consider when you're shopping, especially if you're thinking about that long-term play, that wealth building play, is what does this asset look like when I finally pass it down to my child? Is it going to be $1 million home in 20 years,
Right.
30 million, $30 million
30
home?
million. Oh,
Woohoo! Yes,
manifest that.
let's go. About $1 million home in 30 years, or 30 million. Why not? Hey, keep dreaming, y'all. But yeah, I think that's something I look at, like the neighborhood, the community, and the ability for this asset to appreciate when I hand it down to our beautiful children.
Absolutely.
Now the bad side, Queen.
Yeah.
We can't talk about the light without talking about the darkness. So, what is maybe one of the barriers or the stressful parts about going through this home buying process? Even if it's stressful with me, right? It could be something that I do that is a little bit stressful because I know I'm a handful sometimes. Um,
What? That's hilarious.
That's hilarious.
Shout out to
Oh,
Belief in Fatherhood, Uzi.
yes. Shout out to Believe in Fatherhood. Love that channel. Smart. Speaking about exposure,
Right.
right? That's another family friendly channel for you to watch, get exposed to for you, what it's like to be a parent, but also I feel like they're definitely raising some melanated married millionaires for sure. Also interesting small circle that we were listening to. Oh, I don't know if you were listening to me with me,
I
but
had already
Secrets of
listened to
Success
it. I had
podcast.
already listened to it, yeah.
Okay. And then Eric Thomas was mentioning how Belief was over his house.
Mhm.
So yeah, this is a small neighborhood or a small community of millionaires within the melanated community. You about to say something? Or you about to get into that barrier or about how I stress you out, huh?
That's not even what I was going to get into.
Uh,
You know, I'm huge Belief in Fatherhood fans. Huge. So I was on, they did a live one day, like
mhm,
randomly. It was like, oh, I got a little notification, like, oh, they're live. And I was like, oh, let me go join or whatever.
mhm,
I was in the live, like, I just listened to Secrets of Success podcast. You're on the episode because it had just dropped. So I'm like, I wonder if he even knows that they
mhm,
mentioned it.
yeah,
So I was like, trying to like let him know in the comments. So
mhm,
yeah, I was.
yeah.
But yeah, so barriers, we're in an interesting market right now where, I mean, this episode is going to be on YouTube for however long,
For the Evers.
for the Evers. So it is June of 2023. And so the current market situation we're in, at least where we're looking, is that prices are decent. They're not as high and skyrocketing like they were, during COVID, but interest rates are high. And so typically there is an inverse relationship with house price.
7% to 8%.
Right, that's like the average right now. So typically there's an inverse relationship between house prices and interest rates, whereas interest rates climb, house prices fall, and then vice versa happens. So when interest rates fall, house prices climb. And so you kind of got to do a dance and figure out, like, there's a lot of people sitting out of the market right now because they're like, interest rates are too high. I can't afford, whatever mortgage. And that's the reality for some folks. Like, that is what it is. But one of the reasons we're not sitting out is because the interest rate is something you can change in the future. You can refinance out of a high interest rate. You cannot refinance out of a high purchase price. What you bought it for is what you bought it for. You cannot change that later on. You can put more money into it and, lower your principal, but at the end of the day, what you bought it for is what you bought it for. So that's why I actually personally prefer this market.
And you can buy down points.
You can buy down points
so that you get a lower interest rate. So if your interest is at 7%, they might say that, okay, well, for every extra $10,000 you give us, you can buy down your interest rate and get it to a 4 or get it to a 5.
Yeah. But long story short, there are a lot of folks like us that are taking advantage of
There's
this.
no one like us, Sinclair.
You're
I
right.
promise you, there's nobody in the universe like us. They may be similar.
You're right.
Y'all ain't like us. No shade,
No
right?
shade.
Just y'all are excellent in your own way, and we're excellent in our way. Continue, Queen.
There are a lot of people also house hunting right now. And a somewhat limited inventory. And so that basically means it's quite competitive right now.
Yeah.
And so what we have found is that we will be looking at a house, looking at it throughout whatever apps, and we're ready to go tour it, and it is gone, and the next day. And this can be on the market for 5 days, and it's like, okay, we're ready to go tour it. Sorry, they're already submitting an offer, or they're already accepting an offer. So what we're finding that is a lot of the sellers are taking like the first offer that comes to them. So if you're not one of the first movers to make an offer and to go see a property, then you're kind of out of luck.
You gotta be ready, y'all.
Yeah. And so as a buyer, that means you don't get a whole lot of time to really sit and think about a property, or to like, let me wait and see some more. And like, by the time you go see the others, the one you wanted previously is gone.
This is a shame because this is one of the biggest purchases you're
Right.
ever gonna make. So I feel like kind of a disservice that you need to be a little bit impulsive when you're buying these properties. Because another thing is, for us at least, we're FHA.
Yeah.
Right. Which I don't know the exact, we're not real estate professionals. Talk to your real estate professional. Here's the disclaimer. M4 show will not be liable to anybody. But FHA, like, there's a little bit extra hoops and regulations that you have to go through, and testing that you do for the house.
And just a background, I think it is a government-backed loan.
Right.
So I think any government-backed loan, there are more requirements that they are going to require to make sure it's a good property, because it's technically their investment too. So they want to make
Exactly.
sure it is a good property, but that is more hoops for the sellers, right? It has to meet this, especially it has to have a stove, right? Things that other properties, conventional loans don't always require.
Right, which means that some properties have said like, "Oh, right now we're not accepting any
Yeah.
FHA. We're only looking at conventional." So and then even though we're ready to submit an offer, we can't
Yeah.
because they're only looking at conventional. That's been another kind of just auxiliary barrier we've been able to go through.
Yeah.
Or we've had to go through.
Yeah.
Another barrier for us. Sorry, were you done with your queen?
Yeah.
As far
It
as
was
just the
just like
market?
we have to be ready. So like we are like there's been a couple where Devon is gone. I'm going to tour this house alone with our agent, and if I like it, we're submitting an offer like that night, and that's already happened. Where like we've been ready to do that, and maybe they're not accepting FHA, or it's already taken. But like it's been that type of environment where like I can't even like wait to go have him tour it the next day or the weekend because it could be gone. Like we've had to be really ready. And so yeah, it's not the ideal situation, but I feel like I am just putting an extra level of like criticism on when I am touring on like, okay, is this actually a house we can live in? Because if I give the go, he's going to give the go because he trusts my judgment and we're going to make an offer
Mhm. Most of the time.
most of the time.
Most of the time. I do at least look at the pictures now because sometimes it'll be a real nice kitchen and all things look
I am
good,
a little biased
and
towards
then
a nice kitchen.
the backyard would be 3 inches, and it's like Sinclair, who approved this?
3 inches.
Another I think unique barrier that we're going through because of our situation, and possibly some of our listeners may go through it too, is the financing aspect of it
Mhm.
with our business.
Yeah.
And I think there could have been some strategic things that we could have done earlier on that put us in a better position. But the queen has her 1099 income. I have my W-2 and Play Black Wall Street unofficial income. But a lot of the big banks were only looking at my W 2.
Right.
They weren't considering 1099 at all. They weren't looking at business income at all. And it was just off of one income. So we weren't able to qualify for enough house that we really need. But we finally got connected with a broker, a mortgage broker. Highly encourage it.
Mhm.
Who was able to include the 1099, who was able to include some of the business income, or actually rewind, we started doing intentionally. We transformed the LLC into an S
S corp.
corp, and then started paying ourselves W-2 income from the business. So and then we were able to have that extra income. And then TC, the brother, right, with the Hail Mary came through for co-signing. So again, we've had to do like a lot of creative stuff to be able to qualify for a home, even though on paper we have the funds, we have the money. The institutions, the banks weren't
Counting it.
counting that money,
Yeah.
right? So something to consider if you are an entrepreneur. Highly encourage you to talk to your financial professional.
Mhm.
But I think the S corp election and then paying yourself a consistent monthly or bi-weekly paycheck will then give you a W-2 that you can download, you can upload and send to a bank to say, hey, I'm making X amount per week, I'm making X amount per year. I should be able to qualify as if I have a normal business or a normal job, working at McDonald's, working for the UC system, working for Canon, working for Play Black Wall Street, all that good stuff.
So yeah, if you are considering even like next year, like, okay, I think next year I'm going to want to buy, do the S corp now. Because what you want to do is be able to have show on your taxes and show on like basically have a W-2 from the previous year from your own company. That's what you want to be able to do. So that's what we literally just started doing that a couple of months
Yeah, was it March?
before starting this home search. So that was a barrier we had to get through. So yeah, if you're even like thinking like maybe next year you'll be ready, like 2024, you'll be wanting to look for a house, go ahead and do that S corp today. Again, talk to your professional,
Yeah.
make sure that's going to be a good move for you. But in terms of like wanting to use business income for qualifying for a property, do it as soon as possible so that you can again have it actually count. Because yeah, they think the other thing is find the right mortgage broker or lender that's going to work for you. So we've kind of tested out a few, right? And yeah, some of them are they have good programs, right? Zero down programs. It
Right,
sounds
like, and
great.
we can say it, right? So, like, Navy Federal is
Mhm,
a bank that a lot of people promote, they
mhm.
use, and on paper,
Exclusive.
right, on paper, it looks like, oh, that's gonna be a great one, 0% down, no PMI,
Mhm.
yeah, no PMI, property mortgage insurance, uh,
Premium.
premium,
No. Yeah, premium mortgage insurance. Yeah.
boom. So it sounds good, but then when you apply, it's very black and white.
Yeah.
They're only looking at W-2 income.
Can only
They're
have 2 applicants on the application.
boom. I think their interest rate was at like an 8% interest rate,
Mhm.
whereas our broker got us, I think, a 6.25. So yeah, it's not always as straightforward as some YouTube videos or some Instagram videos may seem. So I encourage you apply for a multiple within the same window so that you only get that one hard pull and it affects your credit not as much. But you use the broker, right?
Yeah.
Use the broker. We I don't think we're going back to a regular person until maybe we have like real solid W-2
Yeah.
income and maybe for the big house. But I think the broker that we found right now is going to be our main person for the next at least 2-3 properties.
Yeah. Just find somebody that works for your wherever your situation is, right? Our broker works mostly with self-employed folks, so whatever we're doing is not anything new he's had having to go figure out. Whereas, yeah, if you're kind of going to one of the standard like big banks, they don't really deal with a lot of self-employed folks. They have a lot of kind of older ways of looking at things, more standard, conventional ways. So if you have just a W-2, hey, go for the big banks, go for the big, the zero downs, they'll be fine. If you got a little bit of a creative situation, if you got a lot of
Yeah.
real estate properties, if you got rental income, like all of these things that start to get a little bit tricky, then don't take just because you get like a no or you don't qualify from one lender, that doesn't mean like, oh man, I guess we can't buy property. Just go and keep searching for a different lender, and find somebody who's going to make it work for you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We gave some good gems in that second half. Gave some great gems in the first half. Hopefully, y'all got some value out of it. Quick message for our fathers out there. Happy Father's Day. Right.
Yes.
Shout out to all the fathers out there who are active in their children's life and just making an impact, right? And helping to bring in the next generation of people, good human beings, entrepreneurs, doctors, lawyers, artists, dancers, computer scientists, podcasters, and teachers. We appreciate all the love that the fathers give. Dad, I love you. We're going to be playing basketball and you're going to be hurting my body later. Woo.
Father, I will see you tomorrow.
Mhm.
Whatever we decide to do. I'm sure we're gonna be eating good.
Oh, yeah. Y'all be eating. Save me some food, quick.
I'll think about it.
Updates for the week, Sinclair. What you got for the beautiful people? What's popping?
As usual, we got our 10-week financial literacy program, with middle schools and high schools, where we basically walk them through, what is a problem they're seeing in their community and how to solve that problem with a business venture,
Yeah,
with whether it's a for-profit or nonprofit business. Let me tell you, these kids, these scholars are so
yeah,
creative
I just
and
love it.
so passionate and so like just inspiring to see the ideas that they come up with. We're talking about middle schoolers and high schoolers, solving the businesses that are gonna creating the businesses that are gonna change the future. So,
Mm.
really excited to see the seeds that are planted with this program. And if you are interested in this program or want to see it at a school near you, go ahead and give us an email at info@playblackwallstreet.com,
Yeah.
especially if you're in the Southern California area, Inland Empire, LA, San Bernardino, San Diego. We want to hear from you, and yeah, let's make it happen.
Oh yeah, and we do have the curriculum available digitally as well. I'm sure there's some procurement hoops we may need to jump through for your district. But if you aren't local to the Southern California area, we can also provide the lit curriculum digitally for you. So go ahead and reach out. We'll see what we can do. In that same vein, we are also hiring additional mentors.
Mhm.
So if you are a current college student, a current graduate student, you're a recent grad from college or grad school, email that same email info@playblackwallstreet.com. We're really looking for people who are passionate about this work, right? People who really want to see the next generation win, people who have the patience
Mm.
that is needed in that classroom sometimes. Hello, you need the patience sometimes, y'all. So if you're passionate about financial literacy, if you want to get trained in financial literacy, how to start a business, if you want to be a part of a team that's really making some moves out here, go ahead and apply. info@playblackwallstreet.com, or send it to a friend, family member that you know is interested. We will be hiring for the next 2 to 3 weeks, right? So today is June 16th.
17th.
June 17th, we'll be hiring through about probably mid-July, July 17th. So put your application in ASAP, though, to make sure you get considered first. The other thing that I'm excited about doing, Sinclair, this isn't necessarily a public announcement. Y'all can't participate in this. Sorry. But our retreat that we have. We have a Play Black Wall Street retreat scheduled where we're going to go through the lit curriculum and see how we can take that to the next level. We're going to go through our core ideology and branding. We're going to go through some of our KPIs and strategies. We're going to have a chef come in and make some good dinner. We're going to have a masseuse come in, make sure that our self-love is good. But I'm just excited for the intentional time to sit down and figure out, okay, where are we going with Play Black Wall Street? Where are we going with lit, and how do we make sure we continue to make those intentional moves?
Right.
I got to a point where I felt that we were just reacting, right? Because so many things were happening at the same time. We were getting so many different schools, so many different situations with our mentors that we were kind of just reacting to make sure that we can keep moving forward. But now that we have this pause, have this time, like, let's patch up the holes, rebuild the ship to make sure it can keep going on the longer voyage. So
we're in our off season.
Yeah, we're in the off season, and you can see the success in the season by the work that's put in the off season.
Facts.
Right. So we're about to hit the gym. We're about to put in that good work for the week. Yeah. Oh no, never be that person in the gym. Don't do it. But yeah, I'm excited for that week. It's gonna be good. And we got a balance. We're going to Catalina during that week. We got multiple dinners, the massage that I need to book for us still. But it's, I think, a good balance of work and self-love, self-care.
I'm here for it.
I'm aware. All right, we appreciate y'all as usual for tapping in this journey. Definitely make sure y'all like and subscribe to the M4 show. We're at not 1,000 subscribers, so we need your help to get us to 1,000 subscribers. So make sure you click the like button and you click subscribe so you get notifications on future videos. And of course, share this channel, share this episode, or any episode that you feel like would connect with a particular friend, a connected family member. Share it with them to help the community grow. Okay, we appreciate you. My name is Devon Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game.
And I'm Sinclair, aka the Health Nerd.
We hope y'all secure the marriage. Make sure y'all secure the love. And of course, make sure y'all secure the bag. Peace. Thank you for supporting the M4 show and our mission to increase the wealth of Black families.
If you received any value from this episode, any value at all, any, do us a favor and give us a like and subscribe on YouTube and Apple, Spotify, anything, all of them, all of them. Wherever you're listening, go ahead and like and subscribe.
And after you like and subscribe, make sure you send this episode to at least one family that you really want to see win. We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.